Hello and welcome to Adoption Pop. We're a podcast journalist,
a filmmaker,
and a cultural critic burst pop culture's favorite adoption tropes.
because we're adopted.
Kristal, I happen to know that you are a fan of animated musicals. Do you have a favorite?
Who told you?
You don't honestly, you don't hide it very well, to be honest.
Okay, I thought really hard about this, and I don't think I could pick one, but I grew up with The Lion King, The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, all of those. Like I could sing you probably every single line to every single one of those.
I feel like that's going to have to be another episode where it's
might
just
be.
Kristal's greatest hits.
we have a sing along with lyrics at the bottom.
When we do karaoke, I often will sing a Disney song because they're just so fun and I know them so well.
Well, summer of 2025 saw one of the biggest animated musicals to ever hit streaming services. K-pop Demon Hunters was such a hit, in fact, that Netflix went on to release it in the theaters, garnering the network its first ever box office #1. And the critics agreed. At the time of this recording, K-pop Demon Hunters has been nominated for Best Animated Feature, and its song Golden nominated for Best Original Song at the Golden Globes and the Critics' Choice Awards. Golden is also shortlisted for an Oscar for Best Original Song. The movie was named Time Magazine's 2025 Breakthrough of the Year, and at the time of this recording, it holds the record for most watched original title in Netflix history with over 500 million views. Plus 3 more. Haley, what did you think about Adoption Pop taking on K-pop Demon Hunters?
Okay, I'm going to admit I was skeptical. I was happy we pivoted from your original pick, The Brutalist. Yikes.
Yep.
But you picked another kids movie, and I was like, I've already tried to watch this with my 11-year-old when it came out, and I was checked out in the first 5 minutes. But this time was for work, so I had to watch it. And I loved it, and I recognized most of the songs. Like I didn't know they were these songs from this movie. I was totally hooked.
See, because there are no children in my house, I hadn't watched it. Admittedly, I didn't know any of the songs. I downloaded the soundtrack, and I may have been listening to the soundtrack since we record. One of 2 soundtracks I downloaded this year, actually. And so I wasn't sad about it. Not at all.
No. It was a good pick. Good job, Sullivan.
Thank you. Thank you.
The song Golden has been looping in my head for days now. So thank
Yes.
you, K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yes. Well, let's jump in, shall we? And does someone want to just give the premise for people like me who maybe don't have an 11-year-old in their house, and who are not familiar with the cultural phenomenon that is K-pop Demon Hunters?
We have a 3-person girl band killing the demons in this world. I mean, is there more than that?
They are generational demon hunters, right? Because generational power and generational trauma, quite frankly, are a theme of this movie. And so for generations, there has been a girl group of demon hunters that are singers by day, and when they're off stage, they hunt demons. And the more they sing and the more they hunt, it actually strengthens the protection, the sort of protective cloak, if you will, over the city, the protective cloak called the Hun Moon. And so that's another important feature. But yeah, I think in a nutshell, that's what you need to know. There are 3 main characters in this girl group. The girl group is called Huntrix. Mira, Zoe, and Rumi are the 3 characters.
They're trying to make it so that the demons can never come back up through the veil, right? Is that what they're
Yes.
trying to eventually do?
Yes.
I gotta admit, not my favorite pick. And dare I say, I liked it less than Sex and the City, the movie.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not. I said what I
kind of
said.
don't know what
I'm
to
sorry.
say.
I mean, I think the nature of this type of show is that there's a differing of opinions, right? And everybody's entitled to their opinion. But Kristal, you're just wrong. you're just objectively incorrect. K-pop Demon Hunters is a million times better than Sex and the City.
Okay, I want any listener out there that feels the way I do to please sing it loud and proud with me in the comments.
We're gonna
somewhere.
have to put a poll. We're gonna have to put a poll on social media. Yeah, no.
When I told my
it's not
kids that we were
close.
watching this, they laughed at me. They're like, "You're watching what? Why are you watching that?" And then I made my oldest daughter watch it with me.
Well, I think there is. So I was talking to a friend of mine who is our age who loved the movie, and she watched it with her 14-year-old. And she said it was a problem, though, because her 14-year-old is at that age where she's like the too cool for school age. And so her 14-year-old was like, nah. And we were like, no, this is really good. And I think younger kids think it's really good also. So I feel like, Kristal, your kids are in that age of the like too cool for school age.
Yeah, this was my oldest, so she's in university. I thought she was going to really like it, but I don't know, she found it kind of cheesy.
Well, all right, so I'm going to be am I the only K-pop Demon Hunter fan? Am I going to have to go hard on Huntrix?
No,
for
it
this?
sounds
I
like
loved
Haley
it.
loved it.
Okay, all right.
Haley loved it.
Okay. So we mentioned there are three characters. There are three demon hunters, and Mira, Zoe, and Rumi. And I think we should say we get their backstories at the beginning, which I think for an adoption-related podcast we should touch on because I do think they're resonant for adoptees. Mira describes herself as the black sheep of her family. Zoe was raised in America, so she talks about feeling divorced from her Korean culture because she grew up in America. And Rumi's mother passed away when she was young, and she was raised by what is essentially an older generation of demon hunter in the girl group. One of her mom's friends named Celine, who is like a mentor to the group. And so Rumi was raised by Celine. And we learn early on they are hunting demons, but there is sort of the main demon that wants to take over. And as a ploy, he employs a boy band to come and sort of have a singing battle, an idol battle for the hearts and souls and minds of everybody in the country. And that boy band is called the Saja Boys.
They were cute. Like, I loved their, like, the animation of them, their characters, their hair, their style, their swag. They did that well.
Okay, when Mira and Zoe see the Saja boys and they see their abs, they like have ab eyeballs instead of like hard eyeballs. It's like abs. It's so funny.
Did you
It's awesome.
notice? I did not notice till maybe halfway through the movie that the one who's always got his shirt open with all the abs, his name is Abby. You didn't
I
notice
did not
that?
notice that.
No.
It's funny.
funny.
This movie
That
is
is funny.
clever, Kristal.
I can appreciate elements to
I can appreciate the naked abs of the
yes,
cartoon.
that I can.
The cartoon. The leader of the Saja Boys, who has this idea of like, hey, we're going to pretend we're a boy group, and we're going to go and we're going to sort of like bring the demons along. we get a little bit of his backstory at the beginning, how he wound up in this role, and essentially allowing him, like becoming a demon, allowed his memories to be erased. So we know at the very beginning there is some idea here about the desire to have one's memory erased, which I don't know about you both, but for me, like, that sparked my interest outside of the, the fun pop music and that kind of stuff. This idea of like wanting to have one's memories erased, I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever thought about that, but certainly from an addiction standpoint, a lot of the times our addiction can be spurred on by memories, because and that's what we're trying to quiet, right, are some of our memories. So I can understand, like, from that perspective, but like being a sober person now, I don't think I would ever want my memories necessarily to be erased at all.
I remember being obsessed with the movie The Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind because of this. Oh, yeah. Like, how could you extricate just one person from your memory like that cutout instead of like wiping everything out? I guess I didn't really notice that. I didn't notice that in this movie, Sullivan, so I'm glad that you brought that up. And yeah, thinking about that, I'm like, yeah, there's some things I'd love to wipe out.
I think the other thing we should touch on as well is the demons. The demons are recognizable, even if they can change forms and those kinds of things, but they're recognizable because they have patterns on their skin. And so being able to see the patterns is how you know that this person is a demon, which I thought this idea of patterns as both a symbol, like symbolically and literally, was also really interesting as well. Again, we're going to talking about like things that repeat and generational trauma and those kinds of things.
Kate, be honest. Did anyone try to draw patterns on with makeup today?
No, Haley. Did you?
I didn't know how long it would take to get off in time for my next activities today. And so I didn't, but like, did I have a purple wig in my cart for a while? Did I look at temporary tattoos? I mean, indeed. Like, I like the patterns, and maybe I just want a tattoo, but I can't. I'm too scared to do that. I don't know.
I love how dedicated you are to this podcast.
Well, I don't want a tattoo of this movie nor this podcast, but just in general, just to be clear.
Oh my gosh, we really should have all had different wigs on for this one.
I did think about it, and it felt, honestly, I felt too old to do that. It felt like a little grasping at an era of my life that has gone by. I will download the soundtrack. I will sing all the songs in the privacy of my apartment and learn all the words. But I will wear sequins. But beyond that, it felt like a reach that I did not want to make. Speaking of patterns, though, we should talk about Rumi, because we learn early on that Rumi, in fact, is a demon. She's half demon, we learn. Which, as a biracial person, resonated with me. This idea that you're half something, and not just half something, but half something that within the society is frowned upon or not necessarily looked on positively, which was certainly my experience growing up as a transracial adoptee, for sure. And so there was a lot of shame for me. And I mean, I have the language for it today. It's internalized racism. That is the language for it that I didn't have when I was younger. But But in this movie, and Rumi having to hide her patterns, no one can know. And in fact, part of quelling the demons forever will make sure that no one ever finds out this part of her exists. And so I found that really resonant as well once we learn her backstory. Kristal, did you have that feeling as well?
I did too. Yeah, I definitely felt that. And I think there's a line that she says somewhere in there, like, this is who I am. And yeah, I definitely got that.
They're going through, we get some songs, there's some back and forth. They're sort of figuring out this is how we're gonna put a stop to the demons once and for all. And Rumi, in fact, her voice, she has a problem with her voice. And they go to the healer to try to figure out what is happening with her voice. And I don't know about you all, Haley, you're laughing already. Why are you laughing already?
I'm laughing to fast forward when she gets the elixir and like he's got a sticker, the healer has a sticker on it and like it peels off and it's grape juice.
I thought was interesting about the healer is that he diagnoses all three of them, which I thought was fascinating. Well, first he says to Rumi, in order to heal a part, we have to heal the whole. And he said, you have so many walls up, making you separated and isolated and a workaholic. That didn't resonate with me. I'm sure, Haley, it didn't resonate with you either.
Never heard of it.
No. He tells Zoe then she's too eager to please. To me, again, like this was the sort of like, hey girls, you're incredibly popular, but like the ways that you're acting may be driven by something in your past.
Which one did you relate to the most?
I thought all the diagnoses were spot on for me. What about you?
I didn't really, maybe not the workaholic piece, but eager to please for sure.
Okay.
I think sometimes I err on the opposite side of having walls. Sometimes I haven't had any boundaries, and so then everybody just gets to know everything about me, you know?
So she takes this elixir that's really grape juice to try to fix her voice, and they decide they're going to write a diss track against the Saja boys, who, by the way, are like blowing up all over the place. People love. I should say also there is a thread of this film that is a critique of K-pop culture, which I don't think we're necessarily going to talk about here, but like there is a piece of that as well. But they write this diss track. The Saja boys are blowing up. They're going to write a diss track against them, and the diss track is really all about bashing demons, quite honestly, which then puts Rumi in this position of having to sing negatively about something that she actually is without anyone finding out. And it causes a rift within the group. The group breaks up because of it. And during this portion, we learn more about Jinu's backstory. And was this something that resonated with the two of you?
Not for me. What about you, Haley?
I wouldn't say resonated. I think it was really interesting to kind of figure out where the demons sort of come from and how they get entangled in things. You know, it's kind of like a deal with the devil, basically. And so he was able to escape by selling his soul. And I've not done that. So no, I guess it didn't resonate.
I had a totally different take than that. My read was completely different. Yeah. So Jinu he grows up poor. He doesn't have a lot of money. Really doesn't have any money to feed his wife and his child. his family. And so he does make this sort of deal with the devil to be given enough money to feed his wife and child. But he leaves them. Like it sort of, when he first tells the story, it sounds like he's made this deal to get sort of into a better class so he can give his wife and family like sort of a good life. But it turns out that that's a lie. And really what happened is he went to live at the palace himself and left his wife and child. And so he has turned into a demon because of shame. It is shame that has made him a demon. And in fact, we learn it is shame that makes all of these demons, they're demons because of shame.
Like, I thought it was his mom and his brother. And so
I thought it was his wife and his child.
I thought it was his mom and his sister.
Okay. It's family, though.
it's family. Yes.
It's family.
Yes.
And he
And
left his family.
Yes. The shame.
And it's shame. And so this idea then that everybody has shame. And there's this idea also, Rumi is ashamed of where she comes from. And she says, I'm a mistake. As an adopted person, this idea of shame, of feeling like, for some people feeling like they're mistakes. Genu having shame of having abandoned his family. I thought about, birth moms that often made the best decision. They thought they were making the best decision or make the best decision in the moment, but then carry that shame with them forever. And this idea of the difference between making a decision that perhaps you are ashamed of having made versus being a bad person. Like making a mistake versus being a mistake. And making that differentiation.
Well, and Celine, Rumi's mom, her adoptive mom, really tells her to hide this part of you, and if you do these things, it will go away, this bad part of you. And I think a lot of us have had the experience where adoptive parents will speak negatively of our biological parents, whether in front of us or in a conversation to the side, which we can clearly overhear. And all of those things sort of get buried in us because we know we're a product of these two people. And so this thought that there's this bad, shameful part of us we have to hide. And Rumi's literally told you have to hide it and you have to try and destroy it. I mean, of course that would eat you up inside. And how can you have anything other reaction than of complete self-rejection and self-hatred, which many of us struggle with?
I think about also the role of the people around us in helping us get to that place or not. Because to your point, Haley, in the movie, the Celine, who is essentially the adoptive mother character, Rumi says, why couldn't you love all of me? And Celine says that our faults and our fears must never be seen, which is a generational thing, right? Like that's for people that believe that, that's learned behavior. Like that's a defense mechanism, I feel like. And then it gets passed down. And I know like it's something that a lot of the creators I follow online, because I'm Gen X, we were raised by baby boomers and the silent generation. That is something, it's joked about a lot online, but I think we definitely feel it being raised by adults who were taught, like, you just don't talk about anything. No matter how bad it is, like, the way you deal with it is you don't ever talk about anything, ever. And I don't think that's manifested itself well for my generation.
No, I mean, I think there's a reason many of us are estranged, and it's hard when you're doing the work and you're trying to, improve yourself as a person and improve your relationships, and that you just get a block from someone like, no, we're not talking about this. Like, it really pulls people apart.
I think my mom really tried to, I think she knew the importance of talking about things. And I think she always, her words were always, yes, like, you can talk to me about anything. But like the vibe was that no, you could only talk about the things that she was comfortable talking about. And so I learned very quickly what were sort of the no-go zones. And I mean, I don't know if that's any better than just that messaging that you can't talk about anything, or that you don't talk about anything, you know?
I think that was the most heartbreaking part of Rumi going back to Celine and being like, listen, everything's falling apart. Like, the group's not together. I have all these and Celine is still like, no, we have to, you kill that part of you, hide that part of you, and you know, bring the Han Moon and that'll fix everything. Like, that, it's just not like, even then she's back totally alone with no support. Like,
yeah,
I relate so much to that, to a sickening degree, you know?
I think as a parent too, like, it's so easy to see from an outsider's perspective. Like, when my kids come to me with things, I think, well, all you got to do is this, 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 and this, and it'll be fine. And really, that's not at all what they need. And I've learned the art of asking permission to offer my observations. And sometimes they say yes, and sometimes they say no.
When I think about what resonated for me in this movie, and, you know, seeing myself in the girls for sure, and, you know, wishing that I had somebody to say, like, it's okay to be you. Not only it's okay to be you, but it's okay to be you, and here I am going to walk right beside you and, you know, support you in being you, and you'll support me in being me, going forward, which is what they do in the end, is the supporting of Rumi in being her whole self, her patterns and all. And it is that acceptance and the strength that allow them to defeat the demons, yes, but also to continue to acknowledge that we all do carry some elements of shame, and that's okay. And that, quite frankly, it's part of life, as well. But that doesn't make you having made mistakes doesn't make you a mistake going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Did the two of you ever feel like you were a mistake?
100%.
Sullivan?
No. We've talked about this a little bit on the show before when we talked about, we've touched a little bit on infertility grief. My adoptive mother was infertile. I always knew from the moment I could remember that I was the fix to that. So I understood my purpose and my role. And that, I think that understanding brought with it a lot of baggage and a lot of really negative stuff that I had to work through and will probably always have to work through. But it didn't bring with it this idea that I was a mistake, or I was, sometimes I hear people, adoptees, talk about being worried about being sent back and like those kinds of things. I never wrestled with any of those things because it was very clear to me that I was necessary in the house.
I was told the story that my mom was a teen. I was a product of a teen pregnancy, and so that very much came with it. That was a mistake. Nobody should be doing that. Like, all of those things. So, yeah. Like, you asked me that, I'm like, I still like tear up. Like, I feel it. Like, yeah. So mistake, and then then you have to prove yourself, well, I have to prove that I'm worth being here and I have a purpose.
Can I ask, Haley, what has the journey looked like to reframe that, or do you still feel that way?
I think I've done so much therapy and work around this over the last, 15 years, that there's certainly things that I can say have been healed, but that's one of those deep rooted beliefs, right? If you're a mistake, what are you doing here? and it goes along with being unwanted. Yeah. It's hard, and I, thank you for asking, and I share that because I'm sure there's other adoptees that feel that way too, whether you have it as a conscious thought or a, deep unconscious thought, because it's scary to look at that.
Kristal, did you ever feel that way?
I relate more to you, Sullivan, in that I didn't ever think I was a mistake, but I certainly had the unwanted, unworthy sort of narrative that played out in my life. And still, there's times I certainly don't feel worthy, but I do feel similar to you in that I felt like I was there for my mother. Like that my existence was for her. What a great burden that was put on me.
I think one of my favorite things about the movie is that when the demons are defeated and all those things, Rumi keeps the patterns, and they show up on her skin all the time. They're visible all the time instead of being able to be covered up with a long sleeve shirt and I love that it wasn't an erasure of both parts of her. If we could give anyone anything, like finding that acceptance, you have to do it for yourself. I mean, that's the path. And it's a long path that I'm still on.
I think we're all still on it.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Haley, do you want to give an award?
I do want to give an award. I have a special award today for exceptional achievement in self-containment, emotional regulation, and overperformance, developed early and perfected under pressure. I am so honored to give Rumi the first Hyper Competent Adoptee Award. This award recognizes a form of excellence that emerges not from encouragement, but from necessity. Rumi's competence functions as a safety strategy. Be useful, be reliable, be extraordinary, and don't need anything back. Her strength is praised precisely because it asks so little of others, masking the cost of carrying unresolved origin stories, fear, and the constant pressure to justify her place by being indispensable. We love Rumi. We also love a hyper-competent adoptee, but we'd also love her and you if you were able to just be yourself, even without the high performance. Adoption Pop is podcaster Haley Radke,
filmmaker Kristal Parke,
and cultural critic Sullivan Summer. In researching this episode, we relied on Jeremy Fuster for the rap. K-pop Demon Hunters becomes Netflix's first box office #1 with $18 million weekend.
If you like what we do, drop us a rating in your podcast app, find and follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and let us know what you want us to cover in future episodes.
We talk about family a lot on this pod. Next week, we'll tackle a modern one on Adoption Pop.